Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the importance of pre-marketing your flips. When you're flipping houses, timing and visibility can make a significant difference in your success. Pre-marketing your flip, generating interest before it officially hits the market, can help you sell faster and potentially even above asking price. Here are 5 reasons why pre-marketing is a game changer and how to do it effectively. Number 1, builds buzz and excitement. Pre-marketing gives potential buyers a sneak peek, which can create anticipation and excitement around your property. By sharing high-quality photos or short videos of key features, you'll attract attention early on and even gain some prospective buyers before listing day. Early interest often leads to competitive offers as soon as the property is officially available. Number 2, helps you identify serious buyers. By pre-marketing your flip, you'll attract buyers who are ready to move quickly. These prospective buyers are often more committed and may have their financing ready, which can lead to a faster sale. Connecting with serious buyers early also allows you to vet interest before showings, ensuring you're dealing with motivated individuals. Number 3, allows for price adjustments. Pre-marketing can provide valuable feedback on your asking price. If buyers express interest at your projected price, you know you're in the right range. If you're not getting the attention you expected, you have time to adjust the price or make small changes to improve appeal before officially listing the property. Number 4, creates a competitive environment. When buyers know a property has generated buzz before hitting the market, they're more likely to act quickly and put in strong offers. By having multiple interested buyers from the start, you can create a competitive environment that may lead to better offers and faster closing times. Number 5, increases exposure without a long listing. A prolonged listing can sometimes give buyers the impression that there's an issue with the property. With effective pre-marketing, you're already driving interest and potentially lining up offers before the official listing, which minimizes market time. This strategy can help your property sell quickly and at the best possible price, keeping your reputation strong in the real estate market. So, pre-marketing is a powerful tool that helps you attract serious buyers, generate early excitement, and create a competitive market for your badass flip. By taking a proactive approach, you increase your chance of a fast sale at a great price, setting you up for success in your house flipping journey. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Anja Schaer. Anja is a dynamic real estate investor, short-term rental owner, and coach with a remarkable journey. Originally from Germany, Anja's pursuit of the American dream took her from behind the Iron Curtain to the metro Atlanta area, where she has built a thriving real estate business. Her entry into real estate was serendipitous. A click on a Facebook ad sparked a passion for transforming distressed properties and later creating meticulously curated short-term rentals. In 2024, Anja and her husband launched PeachHaus Furnished Rentals, offering beautifully furnished temporary housing solutions for travelers, relocating families, and corporate clients. In addition, she founded Host to Success, a coaching program aimed at empowering women to achieve financial freedom through real estate. Anja's mission is to inspire others, showing that with the right support and dedication, real estate investing is within reach for everyone. It's my pleasure to have her on the show. So welcome, Anja Schaer.
Thanks so much, Jen.
It's so great to finally meet you.
Excited.
I have been Facebook stalking you and just love your short-term rentals. I'm always like, ooh, I like that style she's doing. So I normally start how you got involved with real estate, but your story of how you came to America and really grew that American dream is very interesting. And I want to start there. So tell us how you came from Germany and landed in Atlanta.
Oh, that's quite a story. And I have to say, I never had any plans to leave the country. I never had plans to move to the US. It's one of those things that just happen in life, even though you never had planned for it. But I had my normal life in Germany, went to college, started my first job, got a government job. So it was well paid. My future was very much very predictable, like just climbing the corporate ladder and all those things. But then I met my husband and they already had ties to the US. They had a vacation place in Florida. And then we met and we said, okay, let's go on vacation. We visited Florida, and the idea to say, okay, maybe we should, give it a try, move to the US, go after our American dream, started basically with a joke because his parents and his family, or he was in the lighting business, so they had lighting stores in Germany. And then, of course, we were in Florida, and he would always look for other lighting stores and say, okay, what are they doing here? And there was not a single decent modern lighting store in the whole Tampa Bay area. And we would say, come on, they are so behind here with all those modern European things.
Stuck with Home Depot and Lowe's, right?
Yes, oh my gosh. And back in 2003, 2004, it was old school, those Mediterranean Bronx chandeliers, really ugly. And we said, we should open a lighting store here in the Tampa Bay area. And that's exactly what we did then. Applied for a visa 2005, and then moved to the US August 2nd, 2006, and then opened a lighting store in Clearwater, Florida.
Wow.
That's how it all started.
So what was the immigration process like?
It wasn't too bad. We had, since my in-laws and my husband's family, that they had a business in Germany. So we just opened a branch in Florida, and then he got transferred with an L visa. He got transferred as a manager to open up and start the new business in Florida. And we got a visa for a year. And then worked our asses off.
Love it.
Because to meet all those requirements, it was the first year we were just working like crazy because it's a lot of pressure. You got 1 year to show them this is working. We are making an income. We are making a profit. We had to hire 2 American citizens. So there was a lot of pressure on our shoulders, but we made it happen, got an extension for another 2 years, and then applied for our green card, and then later applied for citizenship. So now we all have dual citizenships.
Nice. And I grew up in Florida. I was born in Miami. I grew up in Coral Springs, which is in Broward County, just north of Miami. And I moved to North Carolina in 2006, right when you were arriving in Florida, and I couldn't wait to get out of Florida. No offense, but Hurricane Wilma kicked my ass. There was nothing there was no damage to my property, but my insurance went up. Prices everywhere went up. It was just, I was a school teacher at the time. I just couldn't really take all the increase in my monthly bills. So I moved to
I think
North
it's
Carolina.
nice for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, there's so many people in Germany, they always say like, oh, if we ever immigrate into the US, they all want to be in Florida. And I'm like, why? Like, why? Like, you live there, go through that first summer, and then you tell me again if you like it. And I'm sure there's people, they love the climate, they can handle the humidity.
I can't handle it. My hair
But we
can't
lived
handle
there
that
for 9
humidity.
years, and you cannot really do anything in the summer. It's just so hot. You're just hanging out at the pool. And then with kids, right? You cannot really be active outside with kiddos. And that was our decision then to say, okay, let's go north. And I mean, we spent 9 years in Florida, then decided we wanted to be closer to family, moved back to Germany,
Oh,
lived in Germany for 2 years. But my husband knew after a year, he's like, there is no way I can live in Germany again. You just change so much if you live in another country. You adapt at some point, right? You Americanize at some point, but your perspective changes, your view on things changes so much. And then we came back to Germany, and we couldn't reconnect to former friends and like neighbors, because they had never left sometimes the areas they grew up in, right? They never had this change of perspective. And we just had the feeling we didn't fit in anymore.
wow.
It's not our country anymore. It's such a weird feeling, but you have a lot of expats once they move back, that they have this feeling like we don't really belong here anymore, because you're just a global citizen now, and it's hard to blend back in. And then you always think like, oh, people are so narrow-minded. And after 2 years, we said, no, it's not going to work out for us. So that was hard, leaving the family again. Like, my kids had to say goodbye to grandparents. And then we moved back, but to Atlanta, because again, we didn't want it to go back to the heat in Florida. And with the kids, Atlanta feels more like Germany. You got the seasons,
Yep.
right? But it's not crazy cold. I'm not a big fan of winter and snow. But you get the seasons. With the airport, we get some easy flights into Europe. We had friends here before. There's a big German community.
Really?
So it felt right for us. Again, it's very diverse, international. So it felt right for us to come here.
Nice. I do love me some Atlanta. So I now want to shift into this. I think you and I have very similar stories of how we got started. And
Yes.
we,
Yep.
we already know we did the same education program, but you said just a click of the mouse on something in Facebook changed your life. So tell us the story.
That's actually fun. Yeah, I can officially say Facebook made me do it. Because for years, we would always look for another business opportunity. We had our lighting business, which was mainly e-commerce. But Google got so restrictive over the years, right? Telling you how your website has to look like, what kind of features, SEO, linking in the background. It got more and more complicated. So we said, okay, we need another source of income. If something happens with this e-commerce business, we cannot rely just on one stream of income. So what else? And we looked into franchise options, like all different things, but nothing felt right. And then we moved to Atlanta in 2017. And, was one of those moments I was just scrolling through Facebook, and there was an ad popping up saying free masterclass for real estate investing here in Marietta. And I was like, whoa, like this sounds interesting. So I tagged my husband and said, you are going to this free masterclass, and you just see if this could be something for us. And it was a 2-hour class. He came back like totally, like he was lit up. He's like, this sounds amazing. I think we should look into it. They have like a follow-up boot camp over the weekend, like a 2-day thing. I signed up for it. I want to learn more about it, but I think this could be it. And he did the boot camp, called me during the boot camp saying, okay, they have a coaching program. It costs like X amount of money. And I was like, how much? And I mean, it was quite an investment.
I did the 30,000 intro.
Yes, same thing.
But
Same
it went up to
thing.
like
And
50.
I was like, I don't know if this is right. It sounds like a lot of money. And he's like, no, we got to do this. He's the visionary. He would be the one like, let's go, let's do this. And I'm the one like, can we sleep a night over it? I have to think about it. But he already knew this is our thing. And now looking backwards, I'm glad we did it. I mean, we got a solid education. That's how we also met our local community of real estate investors, because a lot of them also went through this program and they have local meetups. That's how we got all our connections, recommendations, met others. So it was a great start to get into it. And then we started with fix and flips, I guess, like so many of us.
Everybody does, yeah.
Started with real estate investing. We did a couple of flips, but figured out pretty fast it's not our lane, because it's very time consuming. You have to stay on top of contractors, and we still had the lighting business. So we started part-time with real estate investing, and we said, this is not sustainable for us. We don't have the time to oversee all this construction and renovations. So what else is out there? And the beautiful thing is that there's so many different lanes and paths you can, go into with real estate investing. And then we ventured more into wholesaling, just getting distressed houses on a contract and then finding a buyer. And the beautiful thing out of this was that we could cherry pick certain properties and say, wow, like, look at this property. This is a steal. The numbers are amazing. The location is amazing. Maybe we should keep this one. And then we had another of those like light bulb moments in 2019. Back then we had an office in Marietta, and we would do monthly real estate investor lunch meetups. So we would invite guest speakers and would invite local either real estate investors or people that are interested in getting into it, and do some lunch and learns. And we had Rich Monroe from Atlanta, and he was speaking about short-term rentals. And he had some case studies with numbers like, okay, this is the amount of cash flow I'm doing with this house. And me and my husband, we were looking at each other and we were like, he's making how much a month? Like with this short-term rental? And we had, I think at this time, we had 5 or 6 really nice homes under contract. And we looked at each other, I'm like, light bulb moment right here. We're going to keep those homes. We're going to renovate them, get them furnished, and list them on Airbnb. And that's how we got started in 2019. I think we finished 3 homes within 6 months, got them listed on Airbnb, and that's how we got started, and then built our portfolio over the years, like adding 1 or 2 properties each year.
Yeah, and I want to dive more into the short-term rental, because I did the same education program. We can say it was Fortune Builders. It was, I am forever grateful to that company. And I had a very similar situation where we had a large group of Fortune Builder people in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm located. And we also had a meetup. And so I had that immediate solid base of, I had mentors there. Some coaches were in the area. And so I agree 1,000%. So listeners out there, we're just reinforcing that 30,000, it hurt to pay for that. But how soon did you make that money back? I'm just curious.
It actually took a while, because our first ever flip, we had like all the things that could go wrong went wrong. But I have to say, because we started with the coaching program the end of September 2017. And everybody was like, whoa, what, you have the whole curriculum, like those different modules they had. And everybody, okay, let's go finish those modules first before we dive in. And we actually did it the other way around. I think we were 4 weeks into the program. I think we were in module 1, maybe. And we're on the contract with our first home.
I love it.
So, but looking back again, we learned so much with this first deal. And yet we were not ready yet. We didn't finish the curriculum. We didn't know it all, but we learned so much by just applying. We spend a lot of times on the phone with our coaches, like, OMG, we need help. We don't know what to do. But we learned really how to do a fix and flip with this first deal. And I saw so many others who started with us in the program, right? They went through the whole curriculum first. Oh, I have to know it all first. And then they
That
were
was
still
me.
afraid to jump in. They never did this first deal.
Well, that wasn't me.
Right? Yeah, but we did it the other way around, and we did it scared, and we were not ready, but we learned so much just with this first deal. And I think with the first flip, and we finally sold it, I think we made like $6,000. But we were so proud, like we did it. Like we flipped our first house and we actually sold it, and we made a profit, right? We didn't make a loss. So we were just totally hyped and proud of ourselves that we did it. And then once you have this momentum going, like, okay, we got this first deal under our belt. What's next? What's the next deal for us? So, and then, right, you got this, you got the momentum going, and then we got the next deal, and we got the next deal. And it maybe took us until like the third or fourth deal, but then we started wholesaling, and that was like our avenue where we felt more comfortable with. And I think that it didn't take long for us to make the initial investment back. But again, the community that we then got plugged into here locally in Atlanta, and all those referrals and recommendations, I think that's something you cannot put a price tag on that.
Not at all. And that networking is so, so important because, you know, when you're looking for a general contractor, if you're looking for a plumber, if you're looking for your closing attorney or title company, you want investor friendly, and they give you vetted names of people, correctly, which is so very important. And, you know, networking is just so important. And you were talking about the person who would, and I also had these in my group that did all the education and then just never took that first step to actually put it through. And that is a huge part of stepping out of your comfort zone. We were talking about that earlier before we hit play or record. And it's having a coach, I think, is also very, very important. Anyway, I love everything that you're saying. I started in April of 2017 of the same program. So we were probably at some of the same events together. And I work with people who were my coaches now. I have a mastermind group that they work with. So it is a community. One thing I want to talk about with the networking, though, is I was very surprised. I thought house flippers would be brutal. Like everybody's fighting for the same deal and thinking of pie. Like that person gets a piece of pie, that person gets. It's not pie. Everyone is helping everyone. And once you get the momentum going, you have a little more time on your plate. You've now hired people to do a lot of the grunt work. And so it then opens it up to reaching back and pulling the others along with you. And I definitely feel that this Fortune Builders community is just an example of
amazing.
They're amazing. Absolutely. Yes. So,
and I was actually really surprised. I mean, I never had done like this kind of a coaching program before. And we didn't know anything about the real estate investing space, but I was so surprised. Everybody was so open to share how they got started, their knowledge, right? Their piece of advice, like that's what works for me. And maybe that can also work for you, but everybody was totally open and like sharing their like kind of secrets and their secret sauce. There was no holding back or like, oh, what, you are in my Atlanta market? Like, oh no, I'm not telling you anything because you're my competitor. Everybody was so willing to share and willing to help you succeed as well, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. And I don't know, I did not expect that in this real estate space because you would think it's very competitive. Everybody's trying to go after the same deals, or they're on similar markets and areas and zip codes. And that's still something to me that's mind blowing and beautiful that it is like that people are so open and willing to help and say everybody can succeed, like this abundant mindset, because that's what I did not see in Germany, like not in general, but people are way more in a scarcity mindset and have all those limiting beliefs. And it's way more, oh, you're my competitor, I'm not telling you anything. versus here in the US, or especially also with real estate or the people we met through Fortune Builders, very abundant mindset, heavy focus on personal development, self-development. Fortune Builders, right? They were really big on reading certain books. And I think this also for us sparked a whole journey of, okay, let's focus on self-development. Let's spend more money on coaches to really move the needle forward. And it's an investment in myself, paying a coach, but it also helps me to accelerate a journey. And I think this is something that a lot of people miss if they want to scale up or dive into something new. I'm like, you need a coach and you need to invest in yourself, because it's all right. It's all mindset at the end.
Absolutely. Very well said, Anja. And I can remember, because my husband and I, same type of journey. I was the one who was like, hey, I just signed us up for this 2-hour event. Hey, let's do ours is a 3-day event. And I was like, but we're not going to pay that money. We're going to learn as much as we can, and we'll just do this on our own. And by the end, I'm like, take my money. And we put it on a couple different credit cards, but we made it work. And I will never. But my point is, I can remember just the whole community aspect of it. And we're going to move on to short-term rentals here next. But I remember saying to my husband, I'm like, how lucky are we that this is our life now? This is our life now, and these are our people. So thank you and I love sharing this. And so I appreciate that. But I want to get into short-term rentals. And one area that you focus on, I don't. I self-manage mine. For a brief period, don't slap my hand or anything. I went with a certain company that rhymes with Bevolve. And I know.
Okay. We don't name anything here.
And so we lost money with that company. That they're very good for some areas of the country, but the guests now know to avoid certain companies because of their response rate and things like that. Anyway, I will not bash this company anymore, but you talk about co-hosting, because when you start building your portfolio, if you have more and more and more, co-hosting is a great way to kind of get into it, maybe with you don't have the startup cost to purchase something. So first of all, just explain what is co-hosting when it comes to short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yes. So co-hosting is basically you manage other people's short-term rentals. And that's something we are currently now exploring with our new business offer or service offer, taking over other people's short-term rentals and manage them. When we got started with short-term rentals, we said, okay, we want to keep the management in-house. I don't want to hand it off to someone else. So we self-manage all our own short-term rentals. We have our internal property manager, and I also help with the day-to-day, but we already built our systems. We have our processes in place. We have our list of vendors and cleaners and all the things. And I think we got pretty good with operations over the last couple of years. And for us, it was just the next logical step to say, okay, what else? What other stream of income can we add to this diverse range of short-term rental or real estate operations that we already have? And just opening up and saying, okay, we got the system in place. It's fairly easy for us to plug in other people's properties in our existing system, and now help clients that say, okay, I got a short-term rental, or maybe I just bought a property and want to get it ready to bring it live on Airbnb, but I don't feel comfortable managing this short-term rental on my own. I don't have the time. I don't have the experience. And they can now connect with us, and we can take over and just plug their short-term rental into our system. They would still have their own listing. They would own the listing on Airbnb or on the platforms, on other online travel platforms like VRBO or Booking. But they would assign us as the official co-host, and then we would take care of all the guest messaging, scheduling cleaners, scheduling handyman, smaller repairs, maintenance items, restocking supplies in the properties. And the beautiful thing is, with all our experience we have over the last couple of years, like I can help with designing your short-term rental. If you have, right, you're purchasing an empty house and you're like, I have no clue, like what does a short-term rental need design-wise to really stand out? And the markets got really competitive. It's not like 5 years ago where you just furnish a property, bring it live, and you would get bookings. Nowadays, there's a heavy focus on a really interesting design. So I would look at the property or the location and say, okay, what design theme can we apply for this specific property? What's your target audience? What's your guest avatar? What are the people that are most likely would stay in this property? Why are they coming to town? And then I would focus the design and the amenities to this guest avatar, right? So you have a higher chance of getting booked. Again, creating visual interest, working with wallpaper, with accent walls, with quality furniture, tied all together in a theme, and bring it live. So I can bring a lot of expertise also on the design side of things, getting it ready, getting it furnished. And it's a lot of work getting a short-term rental ready with all the things you need for a house. And also, again, time is money. You want to get this, if it's an empty property, you want to get this furnished as soon as possible so you can start making money. So there's a lot of things, a lot of value we can provide and help others getting started with their short-term rental, crafting a listing description, a compelling listing description for the online travel platforms. Again, making sure they got everything that the guest needs in their houses. So we have checklists for that.
I have a question though.
That's the next step. Yeah.
So it's my understanding that there's a difference between co-hosting and a management company. Am I correct? Okay. And a management company, they're just taking over a turnkey short-term rental that you have, but a co-host, and you started tapping into this, and maybe with the design, do you buy the furniture? Do you make the owner buy the furniture? Do they pay for all that? So kind of break it down, the differences between a co-host, which a co-host is going to make a little bit more cut of the profit,
the revenue.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you get probably a higher cut of the revenue.
So tell the difference between the two. Okay. Yeah.
So with co-hosting, the owner owns the listing on the platforms like Airbnb. The money would flow through the owner, like onto the owner's bank account, and we would invoice them on a monthly basis for our services. Versus for property management, the property manager would own the listing, like all the money would flow to the property manager, and then you would deduct your service fees and then distribute the balance over to the owner. So there is more, I guess, control if it's a property management company. But for right now, we said we're just going to do the co-hosting. But yeah, I can help with like designing a property, but yes, the owner would have to pay for it, right? We can only give suggestions and say this is what I could recommend with design or with furniture, and then of course the owner would have to pay for that. But I think good design always pays off, and especially if it's somebody who's never done this before, it's great to have someone who can advise you on how to get started and what to buy, where to buy furniture for a discount, because there's now great platforms that where you can bundle together certain furniture and other things and get a good discount for it. So there's a lot of great ways to get furnished or get going.
I love all that. And thank you for clarifying that. So what are you finding, kind of shifting direction here, trends with short-term rentals? So during COVID, it was shut down for a couple months in a lot of areas. And then there was just blew up of people that were having cabin fever. They were cooped up in their house for so long, and they were traveling mostly within, 2 or 3 hours of their house just to get a break from their four walls. So Now that has slowed down. Now international travel's back rocking, and it has slowed down. What suggestions do you have to people who are looking into getting into short-term rentals as far as maybe locations, type of properties? I strictly I did do a quad in downtown Raleigh, so it was metro area. It was not as successful as our destination ones. So my focus is now on destinations, providing that experience. I want properties with a lot of land, so you don't have neighbors complaining about people arriving in the middle of the night, things like that. So that's just me personally. Atlanta may be a different situation, but what do you find are the trends that are keeping more successful short-term rentals? And P.S., it's getting very saturated because so many people did so well for so long. So give us some tips on people who are wanting to get into short-term rentals. Where should they buy? What type of property should they buy? What's working best right now and that you are seeing projected into the future?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yes. So, I mean, the industry really changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. We had those like golden years, like 2020, like late 2020, 2021, 2022. And we have to stop comparing income to those years because we will probably never see those income streams again. It was just like really, I mean, an exceptional situation. And now that a lot of markets are saturated, you also have or see more and more restrictions, regulations from the cities because the whole affordable housing crisis, right? It doesn't really help. But what I see here in our markets is really that the more professional hosts are getting more traction. You had a lot of, let's say, hobby Airbnb people, like hobby short-term rental people getting into the market during COVID. And since it's now getting more challenging, they're dropping the prices, right? They drag everybody down with nightly rates. So I see already like a trend that like those people are leaving the market. They might say it's not worth it. I cannot pay my bills, and I might just convert it into a long-term rental. So I think that the more professional hosts, like people that have like us, like a portfolio of short-term rentals, I think we will like see more share of the market in the future. But it's also really having a nice design, having quality furniture of the right amenities for your guest avatar, and also just great customer service. And then I think you can still win in an urban market. For us, it's also now, right, we are trying the hybrid model for a year now, meaning we do short-term rentals, but we also try to get more bookings for midterm stays.
Okay.
Which I think just makes sense being in an urban market because we are not only getting regular travelers, I mean, people coming to Atlanta for so many different reasons. But we have a couple of our properties where we also see more and more midterm bookings from local people from the neighborhood that had any like damages to their home, water damage, fire damage. Home needs the restoration, so they need to get out for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then you have a furnished property in their neighborhood. Like it has to be, of course, at the right time in the right zip code. But if they need a temporary place for 5, 6, 7 months, if it's an insurance claim, then the insurance would pay for the rent, and they are usually paying pretty well.
Nice.
Relocations, people that are moving to Atlanta and they say, okay, we want to get a furnished place first. And then once we are there, we will look into neighborhoods, markets, where do we want to either rent or buy something. People that come like for corporate trainings, like we got corporate bookings, like business travelers that come for trainings and stay maybe for a couple of weeks. So we get a good mix of now people staying longer with us, which helps me. I don't have all those turnovers. And it gives me also more income stability because if I know I have someone in my place for the next 3 or 4 months, I know exactly this is the rent amount I get each month. And it's not that fluctuation with short-term rentals. But on the general trend is really more destination travel, still like state parks, national park areas. Yes. Still there's demand for short-term rentals. And then unique stays. Might it be
Yes.
right? Tiny houses, really cool cabins for couples that have great amenities, the hot tub, right? You see more and more the barrel saunas, cold plunge things like pickleball courts in the backyard. So really honing in on fancy amenities, offering people a unique experience, like an
Yes.
exceptional stay to a point where they don't want to leave your property anymore because you give them so much to do with a game room and maybe a basketball court or mini golf in the backyard. So I see a big trend on those really unique stays and also like those tiny homes really catering to maybe just couples or like solo travelers. And I think there's still a good demand in those areas. And the beautiful thing is nowadays you got so many amazing data platforms that are scraping all the data from surrounding short-term rentals and present it in a way where I think it's fairly easy to make a decision, okay, which market is good for me, which would make sense to invest in. Maybe also depending on your budget, are you willing to go out of state or do you want to stay local, maybe within your state? But platforms like AirDNA and Meshwiser and STR Insights, Kenny Bedwell, I met him a couple of times at different conferences where you can get like a monthly membership, but you can really dive into the data because it's all data over drama when it comes to real estate, diving into the numbers and say, okay, what's my budget? What am I comfortable with? And it's at the end, it's all a numbers game.
So I have mixed views on like the Air DNAs and those type of websites, only because, like I said, my focus is destinations. So people may be traveling to the area just to escape and just sit down by the lake and relax. And so it's the data that goes through those is going to skew that type of experience, just in my personal belief. So I used it when I purchased this quad in downtown Raleigh because the numbers told me it worked, but it became so saturated. So I actually stay away from where they say this is where everybody's getting their short-term rentals and they're getting so successful. That's actually a red flag to me. So I am now avoiding pulling back and sticking to my guns. And I do have a tiny cabin, by the way, and it is our little cash cow. I love this thing. It's 486 square feet. There, it's amazing. So, just had to throw that in there. And I want to finish up this first part of the podcast. You and I can talk for hours, but I do want to make sure that we get this in. You founded recently Host to Success, and it's a coaching program. And we kind of tapped on that when you get into this real estate business and this community is mind blowing of how supportive people are and always reaching behind and pulling you up with them. And it's you start getting your business going, you start then replacing people with time consuming activities for you. And now it runs itself. And so you have all this extra time and it's such a great opportunity to then turn around and give back to the community. So you actually are focused on women empowerment, which I love. And I've had several women empowerment coaches on the show, but I just want to know what makes your program, your coaching program, stand out from others.
Yes. I think every coach has a unique approach on how they tackle certain things and specific niches where they help people to succeed. What I saw when we got started in 2017 with real estate investing in general and at those networking meetings, right, it was still a very male-dominated industry.
Yes.
I would say back then, at least 90% males and then maybe 10% women. And once we got into it, I mean, I met other women that are really badasses in doing real estate investing. But over the years, I thought like, for a lot of women, it's so intimidating getting into a room just with like those movers and shakers, but they're all male. And we have sometimes different questions. We have different views on certain things. We are not always so just focus on numbers, especially on the short-term rental side. It is hospitality. We are dealing with people. And I think women are just naturally good in making people welcome. Like we want to make sure everybody's happy and they're having a good time and they're having a good stay. So it's a different approach, right? It's not just data and cold hard facts. In the hospitality side, it's also hosting with heart. And I wanted to provide something for women to, again, empowering them and also inspiring them with my own journey to say, this is absolutely possible for you to also get started with real estate investing, and specifically in my case, short-term rentals. But it's just getting them over this hurdle of like, can I do this? Right? We always, as women, we have so much imposter syndrome and playing small and like a lot of limiting beliefs when it comes to investing, like real estate investing. And I want to just give like a helping hand. And I always say, I'll give the analogy with real estate investing. It's like climbing a mountain. I got started a couple of years back. I'm maybe halfway up the mountain. I'm not at the top yet. But by now I know what kind of gear I need, right? I got the right equipment. I got the right shoes, the ropes, all the fancy things. And since I'm already halfway up the mountain, right, I have a pretty good view from up there. And now I can basically reach down and give a helping hand to people or women that are just getting started climbing up that mountain. And I can help them pull them up and show them what gear they need, what's the right tools and the right equipment to avoid any mistakes and be successful with climbing up. And that's why I started with my coaching program to really have, and it's a small group coaching program. I wanted it to be like interactive. So you already have basically your own accountability group. It's all other women that are just starting out with real estate investing. So I think there's already some empowering with just having this small group of other like-minded female beginners. And then again, it's personalized. I can offer personalized guidance and support. But it's tough love. So I also try to really push them and say, okay, this is like an 8-week program. Okay, it's a lot to cover. So it's a weekly meeting. But I really want to hand them actionable steps and say, let's go. Okay, talk to your bank, like tackle the financing. Okay, find your target market. What could work for you? Like we go through it step by step.
Is it virtual or is it in person?
It is virtual.
Okay.
Because I had different people signing up. So not just locally here from Atlanta. So it is a virtual program, but we meet live in Zoom. And then they get, with every module, they get a workbook, which is like 30 to 40 pages usually. Wow. So they have to put in the work. And then it's really just, okay, let's go do it. No excuses. You got all the info, the education you need. Now let's go do it. And I'm so proud of one of my students who finished my program back in April. It took her 5 weeks to find the property, get it under contract, close on it, get it furnished, and bring it live on Airbnb. 5 weeks. So there's really no excuses why we cannot do this, or maybe the market isn't right, or the interest rates are too high. If the numbers work, they work, right?
Absolutely.
And there's no waiting for the right moment.
And it's gotten easier.
There's always a good time to buy real estate.
Yeah, the financing, because we have DSCR loans now. We didn't have those when we started back. And try financing a tiny home, which is 486 square feet, when banks don't want to finance anything that's under 750 square feet. Yeah. So that was quite the challenge.
Challenge on its own.
So how do people find Host to Success? And it's host and the number 2 and then success. So how do people find it?
I usually just point out to my website, anjaschaer.com, to just keep it easy and as a first point of contact. I'm also active on social media. I try to be active on Instagram and Facebook with some lives and give like educational tips and tricks, and people can also sign up for a newsletter that I send out to my subscribers to keep them informed about what's going on in the industry, what is changing, what are those maybe top markets every year.
I got to get on that.
Yeah, that I suggest people look into if they are looking for markets to invest in. And short-term rentals, that it's an ever-evolving, ever-changing industry. There's always new trends, more regulations. How do you get around those? What are those markets that everybody is investing into? Maybe what are markets that are so saturated that you should stay away? And it's right, a lot of information.
Orlando, stay away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's those certain areas. And I would also say that's what also Kenny Bedwell, STR Insights, he's always saying, look into what is the A market? Let's say Nashville would be the A market, but what's the B markets around them?
Yep.
Right? What are those suburban areas 20 minutes out of Nashville that are still easy to commute into the city, but prices are lower and there might not be so much competition.
Yep, well said.
So there's a lot of data to look into, but I think if you put in the work, do your research, there is still a lot of amazing places where you are able to invest in. And those destination places paired with a unique maybe property or again, tiny house, unique stays, those are still winning. And those tiny homes, I mean, they make more revenue than my single family homes here in Atlanta. So definitely something to look into. I love those. I would love to have a tiny home.
Agreed. And also, if you all are visiting the Atlanta area, you definitely should check out PeachHaus, and it's PeachHaus Furnished Rentals, and check out one of those to stay in. How do they find the PeachHaus Furnished Rentals?
We have our website is PeachHausFurnishedRentals.com.
Nice and easy. I love it.
All our properties listed. And then we will also list, if you should decide to co-host with us, we will add your property on our website as well.
Awesome. And you heard me at the beginning of the podcast give a badassery bestowment about pre-marketing your flips. Do you have a badassery bestowment you can share with the listeners?
You know, Jen, I would say just don't overthink it. Go for it.
Yes.
Don't look left and right. Don't compare yourself to others. Be you, be bold, walk your own path, but don't let naysayers or other people stop you. I know sometimes you don't get the support from family or friends. That's why you need a like-minded community. Plug yourself into your like-minded community. Keep your eyes on your goal. And just go for it.
I love it. If I would have listened to some of my family members when we first started, I would not be as successful today. I had to kind of shut them out. So very well said. Well, we are moving to the second part of the podcast here. We got to do this kind of quick because we're getting towards the top of the hour. I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. I love these questions. So what is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I know I can probably list so many books, right? But I just picked one. It's The Profit First Method by Michael Michalowicz. And I think this book is super important because a lot of us get into real estate investing. We are just so focused on taking action that we sometimes forget to build the system and build it really up as a business, right? You should get a separate LLC. But you should also dial in a kind of bookkeeping system or profit system, because so many of us, we just get in once we start making some money, it's all those expenses. And then you say, oh, whatever is left, that's maybe I can pay myself at the end for whatever is left. But guess what, right? There's never enough money left. And you start a business to also pay yourself to make a living out of it. And so many people just are disappointed and at the end because there's not enough left to say, but what is my salary here at the end of the day? And that's why I love his approach. Michael Michalowicz, I've seen him live on stage at the STR Wealth Conference. This guy is quite an entertainer. He's amazing. Awesome. Definitely watch some of his YouTube videos. But he is turning the whole approach around and say, okay, you have, let's say, $10,000 coming in this week. Instead of just paying all the expenses first, and then hope and pray that there's something left at the end for you. Turn it around and say, okay, we open up 5 bank accounts. One is for your income, where all the income is flowing in. And then you would distribute the income, like certain percentages, into 4 more bank accounts. Number 1, profit. Always profit first. We start a business to make money and to make profits. So, I think when I got started with this system, even if it's 3% of all your income coming in, automatically funnel it into your profit account. Second one is taxes, right? We don't want to oversee the taxes. Again, you can start with a lower amount and then figure out by the end of the year, okay, this is the hopefully profit I made. How much taxes do I have to pay? But you want to have the money ready. Third account would be your owner's pay. What do you want to pay yourself? And whatever is left would flow into your operational expenses or OpEx account. And the beautiful thing is, if you funnel with certain percentages or certain amounts money into your other accounts, let's say if you get $10,000 as an income, maybe there's $7,000 left in your operational expense account. You have to work with the 7,000.
Yes.
Right? You cannot spend more. So you're already forced into looking at your expenses and say, okay, I got $7,000. That's the money I have. And if I need more, I'm like, where can I cut expenses? Is there something that I don't need? Any tools, software I can cancel? You are forced to really look, what are you spending for your business? Are there any unnecessary expenses? Because we easily lose track if we are too much focused on the action side of things and doing fix and flips and whatever. We are out in the field, right? We are in the trenches, and it's easy to lose oversight over the numbers, the bookkeeping, the money, the expenses.
Right.
So I can only highly recommend the profit first method for every business you start, and you can even apply it to your personal.
Absolutely.
Your personal finances.
And I'm going to give a shout out to my friend David Richter, who co-wrote Profit First for Real Estate Investing with Michael Michalowicz. And he's been on this show twice. He's outstanding. So check out that book as well. So we are going to go to the first A in Badass, which is advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I would say perfect is the enemy of good.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Right. And I can also say this for myself. I'm like a perfectionist, and sometimes I'm so in my own way because I always want to have it perfectly done before I roll something out. And it's just standing in our own way. Sometimes it's just taking the action and do it messy, right?
Get it done.
Do it, get it done. Don't overthink it.
Done is... I'm going to mess up anyway, I'm going to
done is better than perfect or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is. All right. So the D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Definitely my kids, because I want to build something, generational wealth, something I can hand over then to my kids, but also give them those lessons of advice in being an entrepreneur, building your own business. I think that's a very valuable lesson we can give our kids, because most of those skills, life skills, that's nothing they get taught in school. So I think it's a lot up to us as parents to already teach our kids. And we would talk about our deals with them, about numbers. I would drag them along to our projects. Sometimes they're not too happy about it, but I think they learn best if they also walk a property with you and you can point out certain things, what you're renovating, why, how much it costs. But also I have like always this inner urge of like, I'm capable to do more. And again, going back to us as women, we are always holding ourselves back, right? It's a lot of imposter. And sometimes I think it's either we are afraid of failure.
Yep.
Or sometimes we are more afraid of what if we succeed. Oof. And I think for me that applies also. I'm always dimming my light, even so I can't even say why. Like, am I afraid of success? Like, why? This would be crazy. But I think there's a lot that we have to offer, and sometimes it's just like letting it out, letting this light shine. And I think I'm on a good way, but I think there is way more I'm capable of. And I think that's this urge to show the world, I think I can do more.
And yes, and that imposter syndrome can sneak up on you. So very well said. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
The goal is really to sign up our first co-hosting clients by the end of the year.
Nice.
Again, helping others be successful, help them making good money with their short-term rentals without them doing the work. And that's something I really push for until the end of the year.
Wonderful. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Definitely having mentors,
Yes.
Being plugged into masterminds, mentoring programs. I'm trying to be on regular calls every week with my mentorship programs, but also being plugged into like-minded communities. And thankfully nowadays there's so many beautiful and amazing short-term rental groups, communities, mastermind groups, where they are, again, sharing wisdom, sharing knowledge, inspire each other, empower each other. And this is so helpful, especially if you have moments where you maybe question yourself, you doubt yourself, things go wrong, right? You have those weeks where you're like, what's happening? And then having this community of like-minded people where they say, Anja, it's okay. Next week is going to be better.
Yes.
Just keep working on the things and don't give up. It's so helpful.
Absolutely. And especially in those times financially when you are struggling and you think, I can't afford to join another mastermind, I can't do this, but that's when you need it most. And I agree 1,000%. Excellent. All right. To wrap this up, the final S in badass is for success. So what does success mean to Anja?
Success for me really is living life on my own terms.
Huge.
Being, of course, also financially independent, but really living life on my terms, working, on my terms whenever I want to. And if I don't want to, I don't have to. But putting systems in place, automating things, like we usually travel every summer. We are in Europe for 6 weeks. And people are always like, Anja, how do you do this with your businesses? I'm like, it's systems and it's automation. Having the right team, and then I can travel. And I'm still, of course, I check my phone, I check my emails. But we can be in Europe, traveling through Italy, Spain, Portugal, showing the kids how beautiful Europe is and enjoying it. And don't wait until later. There's so many people, right? Oh, one day I'm going to do the travel. One day I'm going to show my kids Italy, one day. And then this day never comes. Do it now. Build the systems, like put in the work now, build the systems, automate things. Now with AI, virtual assistants, it's not as hard. And then just book the flight and do the trip.
Absolutely. And I can't tell you enough how honored I am to have you on the show today and to share your badassery. And it has been an absolute pleasure meeting another fellow fortune builder person because that's such a large organization. We didn't even cross paths. But if you are looking for someone to help co-host your property in the Atlanta area, check out PeachHaus Furnished Rentals. And that's HAUS when you go to spell it to find it. Or if you are looking for a good kick in the ass and get that mentor, because I like how you have the tough talk with people sometimes.
The tough German love here.
Yeah, I love it. Das ist sehr gut. Check out Host to Success, and that's the number 2. And really, Anja, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jen. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.